Welcome to the Cyberster. And no, I don't mean a car related to the Tesla Cybertruck, I mean an all-new sports car from the formerly British brand MG, and a car with a very big problem.
I'm going to be honest with you, I was skeptical. When MG first revealed the Cyberster concept, I wasn't convinced that it could bring the brand back to its days of making affordable sports cars, because as you know, EVs typically cost quite a bit more than their petrol-drinking counterparts. But then I drove the MG4, and that handles brilliantly, despite costing less than its rivals.
And with a starting price of 55 grand, this Cyberster is already making the competition look expensive.
And yet none of them can do this. Pretty cool, huh? But then you remember that very big problem I mentioned earlier. In just 1 year, Porsche is going to launch a new version of the Boxster, and like this MG, it's going to be fully electric. The last time a Boxster followed an MG a year later, only one model survived for the long haul. In fact, only one company did.
But come on, things can be much more different now. For starters, MG isn't a British company on the cusp of financial ruin anymore.
No, this is definitely a product of China, although the Cyberster does have a lot of British in it. For starters, it was designed in London, and if you look a bit closer, you'll spot these day running lights down here are in a circular shape to hark back to the MGB's old round headlights. And actually the whole car's silhouette is kind of like an MGB. It's got the longer bonnet for that front engine layout, although there's definitely no engine under this thing here. And actually at the front, I think it's given a bit McLaren with that point on the nose. If you follow me around here, firstly, before you ask, yes, these vents are real. They help with the aerodynamic efficiency, but I also like to see that MG's cherry picked from the best of European parts. So for example, we've got Pirelli P0 tyres, nice and sticky, wrapped around these 20-inch wheels of the top grade model. And then behind them, you've got big brake discs hinged by Brembo brake calipers. Then, if you follow me back here, you've already seen that these doors do a very exotic thing, but shall we see if they contribute to that European feel by being a bit French and acting like a guillotine? Let's see. Right, we've not done this, so let's find if I can walk by the end of the video. Down we come. Oh God. Okay, that was quite terrifying, but I can technically still walk. And then if you come with me around the sides here, well, firstly, I like this matte silver finish on the roll hoops. This really feels like an early noughties throwback. But my favorite feature around this side is actually this black wraparound line, because it helps to slim the side of the car. And it also just gives it a real sporting look. And then we come to the back of the car here. Now, there are a few features that look quite familiar, but not from MGs. So take, for example, this fake but blacked out section down here. It feels a little bit like the Lotus Evija with those big tail lights there. And these arrows here are quite different. They're quite bold, probably quite divisive. And then you've got this big diffuser section down here, but it's not real. I mean, it's all fake. It's all there for the look. So there's a little bit of fakery going on, but actually overall, I think it really ticks the first box on my sports car checklist because it looks very inviting to drive. And for the golfers out there, it's good to know that this car also ticks that box because it can swallow in the boot a set of golf clubs. Although for the rest of us, it's handy to know that you can also fit 3 carry-on cabin bags for an aeroplane just about. It's pretty surprising given that there's a battery in this Roadster. And before you ask, yes, we have checked that there is unfortunately no boot under the bonnet here, but I'm willing to forgive the car for that because it does get double wishbone front suspension, the effects of which we're going to see in just a little bit. But first, there's a very cool interior to show you. You can really spot that this is a heavily raked windscreen, which does mean you've got to watch your jaw as you get in. But handily, this door being so high up means it's actually very easy to climb in. The access is very, very good. And interestingly, when you climb aboard, you'll probably first be looking for the start button, and there isn't one, because what you have to do to wake the car up is just put your foot on the brake. And then all these screens come alive, and you'll realize you not only have a screen down there, but you've also got 3 up there. Now, the one in the middle does kind of what you'd expect. It's got your information and graphics, your speedo and everything like that. And it's got some unique graphics as well. They're very cool. But the 2 that flank that screen are actually touch screens, which is very unusual. I've not seen that before. And they control different things. So you've got, for example, ways to adjust the displays themselves or make the car sound different. And then over here, you can circle through your media, for example. But it's nice to know that if you don't want to reach over and start using a touchscreen while you're driving, these buttons here actually do the same thing. So you can just press them. That's quite handy. But by contrast, the screen down here, which actually is where you control your climate control and you can also cycle through some other car settings, well, that is touch screen only. But thankfully, when it comes to the climate control, it's very easy to use. It's really responsive as well. So it's very easy to change the temperature on the move. I also like the design down here. I like this sort of wraparound feature. It's giving me kind of Jaguar F-type vibes. And these cup holders are quite nifty as well. They can either be closed fully like this, or you can push them down, which is quite practical. They've also got a spot here if you want to put your key, but actually really you probably want it to live in there, where you've got a bit of room and you've also got a pair of USB-C ports as well. And if that's not enough, you've also got an all right sized glove box, plus hidden away in your doors are these nifty little pockets. It's quite a cool feature. But when it comes to storage, really, the main area in the cabin is actually back here. Now, there's plenty of room there. You could definitely get handbags in there or a rucksack, or maybe you could even get a pair of open face helmets in because, well, this thing has a track mode. This thing is rapid. It will crack 62 miles per hour in 3.2 seconds, and the torque of this thing just sends you surging forward from any starting point. This is supposed to be a Grand Tourer convertible, but when you put your foot down, it feels like a supercar, and it feels quite competent on the road as well. I mean, this is a heavy car. The dual motor model we have here with its 510 horsepower, but its all-wheel drive system, well, it weighs almost 2 tons. But it doesn't feel that heavy on the road because it just soaks up the bumps. And of course, with the weight nice and low in the car, it doesn't roll around either through the bends. Just watch this. Quick through there, loads and loads of grip. You can feel the Pirellis biting, and actually the steering system, while there's not tons of steering feel like a proper sports car, it does at least give me a few vibrations. So I have a rough idea of what's going on. But what matters most is the torque at the back of the car. You can really feel this car wrestling to put the power down, both front and rear.
In fact, there's so much wrestling under power that this twin-motor GT doesn't really like to play under power at all, and it actually starts to cook its front tyres after just a few bends. It's not until I drive the rear motor trophy later on that I realise the best handling Cyberster is the cheaper and less powerful one, thanks in no small part to the fact that it sheds 100 kilograms from its nose. And the twin-motor GT's disadvantages don't stop there either.
Alright, okay, you do compromise a bit by going for this 510 horsepower car. I mean, firstly, the range drops from 316 miles in that one motor car to 276 in this car. And because it's got a 77 kilowatt hour battery, both of them do in fact, it does take 38 minutes to charge to 80% on a rapid plug, which is not that competitive these days. Now, MG claims that the battery in the floor of this car is thinner than the height of a Coke can, and that means I can be sat as low as possible to the floor. But I have to admit, I think that it's still a little bit higher than a Porsche Boxster will be. So I don't feel like I'm driving a sports car, I feel a bit more like I'm driving a Grand Tourer. But you kind of don't care when you're on exciting roads like this. This thing is thrilling.
That's even true for the rear drive trophy, which despite needing 5 seconds to hit 62 miles per hour, still feels more than quick enough to be exciting on the road. Not least because it puts 340 horsepower through just 2 wheels, making it much more playful.
It doesn't quite have the dynamic polish of a Porsche Taycan, and actually given that you can get a Taycan for less than the price of this on Cinch, that car is enormously tempting. But this thing does have one key difference, and that is that you can do this. Although I'm not sure you'd want to on a cold day in Scotland. But still, it does add to the thrill of driving, I think, and especially in town. Having a drop top in the city centre, especially one that looks as good as this, is going to be pretty cool. You're going to feel a bit like a champ. And you might be thinking, yeah, but this car is massive. It's going to be hard to drive on urban roads. But firstly, you've got a good reversing camera, and one of the screens actually displays you a 360 display, so you can see all around the car. And secondly, the turning circle on this car is tremendous. Honestly, it's really, really impressive.
That said, the dual motor and 20-inch wheel wearing GT can feel a bit fidgety over bumpy roads. And then conversely, at higher pace over hills and crests, its suspension can struggle to keep the body tied down. Mercifully, the trophy model fixes both of these things, because it's not just lighter, it also rolls on 19-inch wheels, so the ride is smoother and the body is much better controlled. This makes the trophy more rewarding on a B-road, as well as more relaxing on a cruise.
And of course, if you want to, you can make it feel even more relaxing by just flicking this switch and getting the roof back on. And then, well, you're greeted by a good amount of insulation. There's a little bit of wind noise and a little bit of tyre noise as well. There's a lot of rubber on these boots, but overall it does feel like a place you can sit and just let the miles disappear.
And in that sense, it does a decent enough job of impersonating a high-performance Grand Tourer. Don't get me wrong, I'd definitely choose the more agile trophy out of the 2 Cyberster variants, but I have to admit, this heavier GT does use its 510 horses effectively enough to have enormous cross-country pace.
Although unlike other Grand Tourers, because this is electric, well, it means you've got a one-pedal drive mode, and that is a big help when you're driving at slower speeds. It basically means you don't need to use the brake pedal. The only issue with the one-pedal mode is that when you're using it on a higher speed setting like this twisty B road, well then it makes the brake pedal so overreactive. Literally, look. Ow, barely touched it. So, while yes, I don't think this car has enough dynamic prowess to really trouble a Porsche, and neither do I think it's supple enough to be a proper Grand Tourer, I do think that because it sits somewhere in the middle, it feels wholly unique. And let's not forget, the idea of an electric roadster making it from concept to production, well, it's not something we're very familiar with right now. Isn't that right, Elon? This being a sub 60k car that looks and feels as amazing as this is a tremendous achievement. Although, if you can't stretch to that budget, well, rest assured that MG does make something very thrilling for a lot less money, and everything you need to know about that is here.